Okay, can you proceed?
Yes.
Yeah, continue to scroll. Good. Okay, so we actually crossed through all of the wordy bits, and now the next chapter onward is mostly examples. They start with because they go in order of the complex formation. So they start with the sananta or sanadyanta stuff and how commentators explain those usually. Would one of you Prabhus like to read first?
This is page 43.
Yeah.
Okay. Derivative verbs, introduction. Of the 5 modes of complex formation recognized in Paninian grammar, 4 result in derived nominal stems. The 5th involves the addition of suffixes to verbal roots and to nominal stems to create formations that are treated as derived verbal roots. The first of these root-forming suffixes taken up by Panini is the desiderative suffix "sa", called "san" by Panini. The final "n" serves only to indicate that the resulting formation will have the acute pitch accent on its first syllable, something to do with the pronunciation. The formations so derived are therefore called sanadyanta dhatu, roots ending in san, etc. Panini 315 until 3132. Yeah. Corresponding to derivative or secondary conjugation. What's that, Whitney? Why?
Some English grammar that explains it a little bit.
Some of the suffixes are added to items already technically considered roots without producing any change in meaning that requires analysis in ordinary language. This is true, for example, of verbs that use the causative suffix without clear causative meaning. Like we had for that Guptij Kibhya San, and so on, including the items viewed by Panini as roots of the Churadi or the 10th class, and by Western grammarians as denominatives with causative rather than denominative accent. Chorayati, Chintayati, etc. Panini 3125. And it is also true of the roots that use the desiderative suffix without clear desiderative meaning. Jakupsate, Titikshate, Chikitsati, Mimangsate, Bibhatsate, Didangsate, Shishan. Didangsate, Shishangsate. But these suffixes also produce 4 large groups of formations uh, susceptible to analysis in ordinary language. Desiderative verbs, section 123, intensive verbs, 124, causative verbs, 125, and denominative verbs, 126. Okay, so in these English terms, according to Sun Ni, so how do you do that? Causative is Nyant, right?
Causative is niche pratyaya, right?
Right. And
Sun is desiderative.
okay.
Yan is intensive.
Yeah.
And namadhatu is denominative.
Okay. So desideratives, these are the sanant dhatus. Roots ending in the suffix san, desiderative verbs. A straightforward desiderative formation is analyzed in ordinary language by a formula using the verb ish ichhati after the infinitive of the root in question. Kartum ichhati chikir shati. Chikir shati. Vishisht to. Okay, kartum ichhati is equal to chikir shati. So chikir shati is the vakya here, or kartum ichhati is the vakya?
Vakya is in the statement being glossed.
Means what is the main thing which is glossed here?
Chikir shati.
Okay, and kartum ichhati is the explanation.
Yeah, it's the gloss, like the explanation. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so chikir shati is in bold, so it's naturally it's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the format that they follow.
The same principle applies to the analysis of desiderative formations in which the addition of a further suffix has produced a participle, an adjective in you, or a noun in a. The same suffix will be added to the root ish in the analysis. Ipsitam, aptum ishtam, desired, sought to be obtained. Ipsitam. Titir shus, taritum ichchuhu. Ichchuhu, titir shus. Desirous of crossing, seeking to cross. Ichchuhu. Vijigi shunam, vijetum ichchunam. Of those desirous of conquering, of those seeking to conquer. Sisrikshaya, srashtam ichchaya, through the desire of creating, through the wish to create. Certain idiomatic uses of the desiderative require special analysis. Shanke patishyati kulam. Pipati shati kulam. I fear the bank is going to fall. The bank is likely to fall. Shanke. Okay, shanke is the verb. Shanke.
Yeah.
Aham shanke. I thought it like punke, kul will fall in like mud. Something like that.
Yeah.
So the bank is patishyati.
Will fall, basically, right?
Pipatishyati.
Yeah. So they're saying this is an irregular usage. So it's like idiomatic means it kind of. How would you explain that, Lokram? An idiom and idiomatic usages. Like I understand the concept, but I have a little difficulty putting it into the words.
An idiom is it's a phrase that's used colloquially, like among people, normally in normal usage, but the literal meaning isn't exactly what is being conveyed.
Yeah, like if we were to say that's really cool.
Yeah.
We're not talking about its temperature. Cool because of the colloquial context means it's awesome or it's really great or we like it. And if you just study it from grammar and you read the sentence, that's cool, you'd be bewildered because it's an idiomatic usage. So similarly here, pipatishyati kulam means the bank is likely to fall, but if we read it literally, it's the bank desires to fall.
One example in English is to see eye to eye. We say that about people who agree. When they agree, we say they see eye to eye.
Yeah. It doesn't literally mean that they're like nose to nose,
looking in the
staring
eyes.
each other in the
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
It means that they agree about the particular thing they're talking about.
So that's
And
an
there's so
example of an
many.
idiom. Yeah. I just Googled some to find some examples. So, in other words, which one is the idiom?
Ipatishiti kulam.
I see. And that's being glossed as I worry that it will happen.
No, Shanke Patishiti Kulam literally means I'm afraid the bank will fall.
Okay.
Patishiti is a future form. Shanke is a present first person form. So Shanke, I'm afraid. Kulam Patishiti, the bank will fall.
I see.
Kulam is the bank is likely to fall, which would literally translate to the bank wants to fall.
I see. I see. I see. Okay.
And then they give another example.
Okay, that makes sense. So that means basically this verb form can be used in an idiomatic way.
Yeah, and you'll see it used like that.
Okay.
And then the second one, Shanke Marishyati Shwa. Shwa Mumurshati. Same kind of example.
Yeah.
I fear the dog is going to die. The dog is likely to die. Mumurshati.
So basically, where it would sound really weird, Shwa Mumurshati, the dog wants to die. Then we take this idiomatic usage, and then in context, it should make more sense.
Okay. Intensives. These are the Yamant Dhatus.
Which what does Jiva Goswami call these?
The same, right? Sun, Young.
What's his name for them? Did he give us a name yet? Like Vidilang and the Balakalkis.
He still just calls them Sanadis, right?
Yeah.
We'll come to that later at the end of the Akyata Prakarana, correct, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was there at the beginning, Bhusanam Dhatava. And then this Sanadis will come after the 10 words.
Okay.
Okay. These are the Yangant Dhatus, roots ending in the suffix yang. Just a minute. Like, did you remember that verse? Sankyan, Kyangashta, Kameshta, and Kripcha, Nistatha. That one.
No.
Because this yang is mentioned here. Okay. Roots ending in the suffix yang, intensive or frequentative verbs, right? Frequentative is pauna punya, according to Jiva's claim. And intensive is atishaya. So in the basic formulas for the analysis of intensives and frequentatives, the finite simple verb is used with the addition of punaha punaha, again and again, for the frequentative meaning, or brisham, intensely, for the intensive meaning. Punaha punaha pachati, papachyate. He cooks repeatedly. Brisham jvalati ja jvalyate, it blazes intensely. Actually, similarly, the word sansara also is made from Sri Dhatu with, in the same sense, puna puna. It's like atishaya also.
Oh, really?
Also. Yeah. in the same sense, but I'm not able to recall, because samsara means something which keeps on moving again and keeps on moving, and it's intense also. So there is some rule, some sutra to that. So there's something. So puna puna and motion.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was always wondering why they translated samsara as transmigration, but it makes sense with this puna puna meaning also, if it's the result of a sun on or a yananta dhatu.
Yeah, must be there only in yananta. As in the analysis of desideratives, section 123, the same basic formula applies even when further suffixation occurs. Jangamyante bhrisham gachanti iti jangama deva tiryan manushi.
I think it's a typo. Manushyadayaha.
Yeah, manushyadayaha. So they move all around. They go intensely. So thus moving creatures, jangama.
Iti
See,
jangama.
even the jangama, thavara jangama is it. So jangama also comes from this gam dhatu, and it's reduplicated when yang is there. But there is a formula to remove that yang to get jangama proper. So like that, thus moving creatures, gods, animals, humans, and so forth. Here a krit suffix used in the sense of the agent, section 129, is added to the intensive formation in order to form a nominal stem. Again, as in the analysis, okay, so a krit suffix used in the sense of the agent is added to the intensive formation in order to form a nominal stem. I think it's talking of Jangama only.
Yeah, it is.
So again, as in the analysis of desideratives, certain idiomatic uses of the intensive require special analysis. Kutilam kramati chankramyati. He moves crookedly, that is, he goes in zigzag fashion. Garhitam lumpati lolupyate. He breaks it in a reprehensible way. That is, he bursts it all to pieces. Garhitam lumpati lupri chedane lolupyate. Causatives. These are the nijant dhatus, roots ending in the suffix nich. Panini 3126, causative verbs. Straightforward causative formations may theoretically be analyzed by using the present participle of the root in question, followed by some verb of instigation. Thus, gamayati, he causes him to go, may be analyzed gachantam prerayati. He sets him going. In practice, however, such formations are only very rarely analyzed in ordinary language. Instead, a commentator will offer the causative form of a synonymous verb as a gloss or provide an analysis in the technical terminology of Paninian grammar. As in the analysis of the derivative verbs described in the previous two sections, certain idiomatic uses of the causative require special analysis. An example is Kansa vadam achaste, kansam ghatayati. He tells the story of the slaying of Kansa. He has Kansa slain. These are two different things.
Yeah, I don't understand this one. I don't understand how they're glossing kamsam ghatayati as kamsa bhadam achaste.
Probably the context would make it clear. It seems like it's in the context of a narrative.
Yeah.
And the narrator has Kamsa slain.
Yeah.
Something like
yeah, that must be it. So then the only logical way to read that is that it's well, your clock is loud today.
They didn't give any other example of that.
No, I guess because it's so common seeing the causatives.
Denominatives, these are the nama dhatus, roots formed from nouns. Denominative verbs. Denominative verbs are formed by the addition of suffixes to substantives and adjectives. They fall into several groups according to the precise meaning imparted by the suffix. For each group, the standard formula of analysis in ordinary language is based directly upon the wording of the portions of the rules of Panini describing those meanings. The commentators follow these basic formulas of analysis quite closely, but sometimes omit the elements referring to finer details of the meaning. In the following examples, the basic formulas are taken from the Kashika, and the elements sometimes omitted by commentators have been placed in parentheses. So, desire to have. Okay. So, Atmanah Putram Ichchati. So, Putriyati. He desires a son for himself. So, that will be Putriyati. So, Putriyati itself means the whole thing. Atmanah Putram Ichchati.
Yeah.
Like Ramaha Putriyati. No, Ramam Putriyati.
Yeah, it would be it. Yeah. Ramaha Putriyati. Ramaha Putram Ichchati.
No, yeah, then Rama would be the subject of desiring.
Yeah, he would be the one desiring the son.
And if we put Ramam Putriyati, let's say Dasharatha Ramam Putriyati, something like that.
Oh, then he desires Ram as a son. Yeah.
And Putra Kamyaya Atmanaha Putrechaya. Through desire for a son, through the wish for a son for themselves.
Putra Kamyaya.
Putra Kamyaya Atmanaha Putrechaya. But this is not Nam Dhatu. Kamyaya.
Kamya.
But Kamya is just noun.
I don't know. I haven't studied.
Yeah, it's just.
Is it? Can you take a? Because can you then take a namadhatu and then make it further into a noun again with that sense?
Because then we add the akhyat pratyas.
But you can do with like sun and yan, like jangama.
Or like we did with Daitya Prami. I don't know if that's relevant.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that one. I haven't even revisited.
It says here actually, in the last example, the denominative stem has been subjected to further suffixation in order to produce a krit formation. So yes, they have done it in krita. So putra kamya is atmanaha putrichaya.
Desire to have a son. Through the desire to have a son.
Right, through desire for a son.
So that's fifth case, right? Atmanaha? Or no, sixth case?
Sixth. Yeah.
But here, his like it. Okay. It's just usually I think of four as fourth case, but it's like it's saying for themselves or have a son for himself.
Yeah, they're writing for play in English in that. And it's literally with a desire to have their son. Atmanaha
Yeah,
putra.
like of his son.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's that above on the left, right page? Behavior toward. Actually, they have these Sanskrit terms for all these things. Behavior toward. Putram iva acharati. Putriyati. He treats him like a son. Putriyati. Putram iva acharati. Behavior like Shvena iva acharati. Shenayati. It acts like a falcon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So behavior toward is someone's behavior toward someone else. So putram iva acharati.
Yeah.
And behavior like is someone behaving like someone or something.
Mm-hmm.
Amritam iva acharati iti amritaya manam. It acts like the nectar of immortality, thus acting like the nectar of immortality. Amritaya manam. Becoming something. Abhrisho. Bhrisho bhavati. Bhrishayate. Not having been intense, it becomes intense. It intensifies. Bhrishayate.
Mm.
Shyamani bhavanti iti. Shyamaya manani. I think that's manani.
Yeah, I was looking at that also.
And that's Amritaya manami above. That also
Yeah.
looks like Sri Rama.
Yeah.
So Shyamaya manani. They become dark, thus darkening. So this is Kritanta. Man, Shana Pratyaya.
Mm.
For the basic formula and the optional omission of its first part, the analysis of what is CBI formation. Making something so. Mundam karoti, mundayati. He makes it shaven, he shaves it. Laghayishyata, laghum karishyata. Uh, Laghayishyata. By the one being about to lighten it. By the one being about to make it light. This is third case. So
Yeah. Future participle. Kadeshyatri.
malinayanti malinani kurvanti. They dirty them. Malinayanti. They
Mm.
make them dirty. Feeling something. Sukham vedayati sukhayate. He feels happiness. Sukhayate.
Prabodhananda Saraswati is using
Yeah,
that.
Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate, that one.
Yeah.
So that's Anamdadu. Doing or making something. Shabdam karoti shabdayate. Namaha karoti namasyati. Often a particular noun will call for a more specific verb. Satyam atashte. Satyapayati. He tells the truth. Satyapayati.
It's funny because it looks like a causative form with a noun with a noun also. Like stapayati. Satyapayati.
Satyapayati. Then tapascharati. Tapasyati. He performs austerities. Such meanings shade off into the next category, making use of something. In this category belong many specific analyses applying to particular words few examples follow. Romantham vartayati romanthayati. Turns over the curd. What is that?
Like grass. When the cow was chewing grass,
Mhm.
the cud is like, specifically it's, cows, they regurgitate some grass from one of their stomachs and then they chew on it more.
Okay.
That's specifically what cud means.
Okay. It chews the curd. Romanthayate. Pucham Pariyasyati. Paripuchayati. It tosses its tail around. Pariyasyati. It wags its tail. Paripuchyate. Chayati. Shlokair upastauti upashlokayati. He praises with eulogies. He eulogize. How do you say that?
Eulogizes.
Yeah. Lomani anumarshti anulomayati. He strokes the hairs in the direction in which they lie. He curries. So Lomani anumarshti, anumrishta. Varmana sannahyati, sanvarmayati. He girds with armor, he armors. San purvak nah bandhane, nah bandhane, nah bandhane. So
I'll be right back. I just have to talk to Madhavi for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
what is that?
He has to talk to his wife for a second.
Oh,
Let's see. Next is going to be crit. Suffixes. Hmm. I think maybe we can just read these examples. I don't think Lokaram will mind. The paragraphs are quite. So we can read this one, basic Bave meanings, but the other one is not so important. Oh, he's back. Lokaram G, would you like to read?
Sure. Are we at 128?
Yeah, the other stuff is really just verbiage.
Okay. Okay, Janaki, go ahead. My kids may be a little bit disturbing, but we'll see. Let me know if it's too much background. Okay. Basic bhave meanings. A great many krit suffixes are used bhave, i.e., in the sense of the verbal action itself. Also, I think I'm gonna take out my headphones because I think they pick up. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You hear me? Okay. I think those headphones pick up more of the. Okay, put them on your brother. Krit suffixes are used bhave in the sense of the verbal action itself. Most of the resulting formations are nouns of action corresponding in the meaning to the English gerund in ing. Since the only straightforward method of duplicating the meaning of such formations in ordinary language in Sanskrit is through the use of another verbal noun formed with a different suffix, the explanation of these items in commentaries is usually achieved either by giving an analysis in technical terminology or by simply offering a synonym. Bhange, bhanjane, in breaking, in the action of breaking. Agamena, agamanena, by the arrival, by the arriving.
What's that, Param Sundar Prabhu?
I'm sorry?
I thought you said something. I thought you were muted because I saw your mouth move and hand move. I see.
Samarjanam samargaha. The action of sweeping. The offering of a synonym in the form of another verbal noun using a different suffix is also employed when the word being glossed happens to. Can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah.
Happens to be a participle with simple bhave meaning. Prahritam tu, praharas tu. But the stroke, but the striking. When, however, the formation being explained is an indeclinable verbal form, more complicated formulas are required. Continuatives are generally analyzed by using a verbal noun derived from the same root, followed by a continuative form of the root kri. Prahasya, prahasam kritva. Laughing, forming the action of laughter, of laughing. When this technique is used, it is often the continuative made from kri rather than the verbal noun that indicates the presence of secondary meanings such as that of the causative. Praveshya, pravesham karayitva, showing in, causing him to perform the action of entering. The rarer numul form of continuative is usually glossed simply by offering the commoner form of the continuative as a synonym. Stanau sambadhya, stana sambadham, striking the breasts, striking the breasts.
What is this namul? There's also a kridanta.
In Harinamamrita, it's not Namul sure for sure in Harinamamrita.
I see.
Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just liap. Sambadhya. But no, because sambhadam is the thing being glossed. So that's the thing that has namul. And sambhadya is the simpler form that's being given as a gloss. Stana sambhadam. No, I've never seen that. It's interesting.
Okay. Infinitives may often be explained through the use of a verbal noun in the dative case. But even where this is possible, other more roundabout expressions are also allowed, which generally use verbal formations referring to the agent rather than to the verbal act itself. Paktum rejati, pakaya rejati. He goes in order to cook. He goes for cooking.
Super common.
Bhoktum rejati. Bhokta bhojaka rejati. He goes in order to eat. He goes as an eater. Ashvan datum rajati. Ashvadayaha rajati. He goes in order to give horses. He goes as one intending to give horses. Kartum rajati. Karishyami iti rajati. He goes in order to do. He goes with the thought, I shall do.
That's funny. Kartum rajati. Karishyami iti rajati.
Interesting.
Oh, now they're going to go into Karaka.
All right, basic Karaka meaning. So that's the end of the thing we just read, right? That was the section.
Yeah, so like that's their treatment of Kridanta in glosses.
Okay.
Not necessarily Kridanta.
The sun, right?
No, we're done with that. We're done with those. These are
This is the second vritti that we were just doing.
No, those are all done. The sun, yun.
Okay.
Now he's moved on to primary nominal derivation. That's the section we're in. He dealt with some stuff with Kridantas.
Okay. Now
he's going to deal with some Karaka.
Okay, the Krit suffixes that do not refer to the verbal action itself refer to a participant in that action. In the Paninian system, there are 6 categories of such participation called Karakas, with few exceptions, sections 131, 131, 32.4, 32.5. Formations made with such suffixes are analyzed using formulas containing finite forms of the verb in question. when the suffix is used in the sense of the agent or the object of the action, an active or passive finite verb is sufficient to indicate the thing to which the formation refers. Since by Paninian rules, the verbal termination of an active verb is itself under kartari in the sense of the agent, and that of a passive verb is used karmani in the sense of the object. The thing referred to by the formation will then be the grammatical subject of the finite verb. But where the suffix is prescribed by Panini in the sense of some other karaka, the category of participation through which the thing referred to is connected with the verbal action, must be indicated by using some form of the pronoun idam, exhibited in the grammatical case appropriate to the karaka in question. Okay. None of these formulas, unlike those used in the analysis of derivative verbs and of nominal compounds, can be substituted directly for the word that it analyzes, because in each of these formulas, the syntactically predominant element is a verb, while the word being analyzed is a noun. Instead, the formula in itself merely offers a clear explanation of the manner in which the thing referred to participates in the verbal action. Accordingly, each of these formulas must be concluded with the particle iti, followed by pachaka. Followed by the word being explained. For example, in order to explain that the word pachaka refers to the agent in the action of cooking, the basic formula is simply pachati, he cooks, but the full analysis is pachati iti pachakaha.
Yeah.
He cooks, thus he is a cooker. Much less frequently, a commentator will avoid the need for the particle iti by using a relative pronoun. Yah pachati sah pachakaha.
Yeah, that's a more simple way to say it.
The same technique is occasionally used in analyzing formations involving any of the karakas. Compare the following analysis. Abhidhiyate anena iti apidhanam kapatam. Something is covered by this, thus a covering, a leaf of a door.
Yeah. So the passive is used. Apidhiyate anena. Apidhiyate anena.
Yeah, something.
Apidhanam. Thus iti apidhanam kapatam. Yeah, these are really common in commentary.
Abhidhiyate sthagyate yena tad abhidhanam kavataha. That by which something is covered, concealed, is a covering, a leaf of a door.
Mm-hmm.
Notice also that, as in the analysis of other types of complex formations, the commentator may insert glosses at any point in the analysis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Like here, he gave
Go ahead.
sthagyate as a synonym for apidhiyate.
Oh, I see.
And kavataha as a synonym for apidhanam, in order to make it more explicit.
Yeah. Okay, formations made with crit suffixes used in the sense of the agent of an action are analyzed with finite active forms of the verb in question. Where the word being analyzed is plural, a plural form of the finite verb will be used. The same basic formula applies whether the word being analyzed is a substantive or an adjective. Tapati iti tapanaha suryaha. It heats, thus heater, the sun. Yudhyanta iti yodhaha. They fight, thus fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Sukhayati iti sukhaha. It pleases, thus pleasant. This is a nice section to read because it's so easy.
Yeah, these are extremely common and can be bewildering when you read them.
Because they're so almost redundant.
And just the context and how it's being used is a little peculiar compared to some of the stuff we read early on.
When such formations contain a verbal prefix, two methods of analysis are available. The prefix may be expanded, so to speak, into a separate adverbial form. Visheshena bhishayate shatrun iti vibhishanaha. He especially frightens his enemies, thus terrifying. Okay. Niyatam jharati shrivati iti nirjharaha. It flows, streams continuously, thus a cascade. Can you scroll back up? I want to ask something about those two.
These two.
Yeah, those two. So the V prefix, or we call them upendras, right?
Yeah, Sarga, prefix, Upendra.
Is it always a like does it always mean vishesh?
No, there are various ones depending on the context and what the writer intends. It can mean vigata sometimes. It can mean visheshena.
And so same with the ni. It doesn't necessarily always mean niyatam.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Is there like is there a list of different ways it can be used, or is it kind of up to the commentator and their own kind of poetic creativity?
I don't know about that.
You know what I mean? I guess there's common usages, there's common meanings. I've just seen like Vishnacharya Thakur break up a word in very creative ways. You know, so now I'm kind of seeing a little bit more how that's coming together, but it seems, it just seems like a kind of a poetic gloss. In one sense, then
I'm sure Paramchandra has something.
Well, I'm just thinking it seems like it maybe is a little bit arbitrary that the commentator is picking a word that starts with the same letters as the prefix.
No, it's obvious that it's a prefix in the word.
Yeah, but I mean, when he says niyatam jharati, it's just like a.
Well, that's a waterfall basically, and so that's that you get colloquially because it's just a continuous flow.
I see.
So a lot of them will have like a colloquial meaning, but as you're pointing out, and again, I'd like to hear Paramchandra take on this, but as you're pointing out, there is some room for interpretation if it also fits the context of what the statement is. And Sri Vishwanath is particularly known for using that a lot.
So for this one, like all the Upendras, each Upendra, they have a lot of meaning. And the acharyas, they use it accordingly, whatever the context is, and so on. So, but still, many grammarians, they have tried to put in various meanings for each of those Upendras. So I have got two lists, like one book I have in Devanagari and one is that Sanskrit grammar book, if you have that.
Which one?
Michiko one?
No, Bhagavad Gita grammar, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have that?
I do.
I'm pretty sure I do too, yeah. Otherwise, it's on archive.org.
Yeah, I have it.
Come on.
So in that one, actually, the authors, they have. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. I'll just stop this one. Go ahead.
So this is volume 3 of that BG grammar, and so they have given meanings to the Upendras. So like Ati,
I see.
it's a prefix very beyond. So they have given the important or the primary
Like Atishaya and Atikrama, huh?
like that.
Or
Adhi,
Atita.
Adhi is like over, more, Anu after, along.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, and so I matched whatever they have given here with a few versions I have in Devanagari. So there also it's the same thing in Hindi. The meanings, the primary meanings for each. So apa, abhi, ava, a, and ud, upa. So like that, few primary meanings are given here, but still they can have a lot more meanings. Each of.
And I would say the arbitrary nature of it, Lokaram Prabhu, is curtailed by the fact that really what you want is the intention of the author.
Yeah.
And that is going to come through the best with the context.
I guess I just meant the arbitrary thing is picking a word that happens to start with the first letter of the thing being glossed.
I don't understand what you mean.
I'll think about it more.
Because when you say that, it makes it sound like you're saying that somebody's taking a word that just starts with that letter, but isn't necessarily an upasarga or an upendra.
Yeah, maybe. But
Well,
I have to find an example.
That would be like just considered bad grammar. If that were there, it's basically, if you're going to break it into being an upasarga and having one of the meanings, then it means it's actually an upasarga.
I see. So
and
maybe
they're usually pretty well recognizable.
Okay.
Like in Vibhishana, that is Bhi or Bhish. What is the dhatu there?
It's Bhish.
So then it's got V attached to it, and it's recognizable. And similarly, Chada, it's Nis or Ni or Nir attached to Chada.
Sorry, we can move on. I that was helpful. That I got some clarity, and I'll keep thinking about it and see if I can see another example somewhere. Bring it up. Okay, so let me. Or the prefix may be simply retained. Okay. I'll help lecture in a little bit. The prefix may simply be retained with the finite verb used in the analysis. Utkiranti vikshipanti iti utkiraha. They scatter. So is those two synonyms? Utkiranti and vikshipanti?
Yes.
Okay. They scatter upwards, toss upwards, thus scattering up. Upayachate svikaroti iti upayanta pati. He takes, accepts as his own, thus taker, bridegroom. I see. Okay, Karmani. Formations made with crit suffixes used in the sense of the object of an action are analyzed in much the same way as kartari formations, except that the finite verb used in the analysis will be passive rather than active. Kamyata iti kamo, kamyata iti kamaha varaha. It is desired, thus a desire, a choice. Prarabhyanta iti prarambhaha. They are undertaken, thus undertakings. Prasuyata iti prasutihi. Santati. It is procreated, thus procreation, offspring. Karane. Formations made with crit suffixes used in the sense of an instrument involved in an action are analyzed with a finite verb, usually passive, and a form of the pronoun idam exhibited in the instrumental case. Sammohyate anena iti. Sammohanam. One is infatuated by means of this, thus infatuating. Vibhajyate anena iti vibhagaha. Something is divided by this, thus a division. Vihanyanta ebhihi iti vignaha pradyuhaha. People are obstructed by these, thus obstructions, obstacles. Sampradane. Formations made with crit suffixes used in the sense of the one for whose sake an action are analyzed. For one whose sake an action is done, I think, are analyzed with finite verb and a form of the pronoun idam exhibited in the dated case. Arpyate asmah iti arpanaha. Something is offered to this, thus recipient.
Yeah. This is cool.
Yeah, arpana is equal to recipient.
It's okay. Apadane. Formations made with crit suffixes used in the sense of a point of departure involved in an action are analyzed with a finite verb and a form of the pronoun idam exhibited in the ablative case. Prabhavati asmat iti prabhavaha karanam. Something arises from this, thus a source, a cause.
Wow, this is cool. I was just reading this in the 9th chapter. What is that? Not that one, but basically, yes. It's the same usage. So prabhava in the sense of the cause, karana, and it's used like this. Prabhavati asmad iti prabhavaha karanam. So it's apadane karaka.
Interesting. So these are different types of crit suffix formations, meaning these different, karane, sampradane.
Yeah. So the karakas are the senses that they're used in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that book, Easy or Enjoyable Sanskrit Grammar by Meda Michika.
No.
So I have a PDF. I can send it to you. She goes over the main pratyas, kridanta pratyas, and she explains in a very, very not clear way, unless you already get the concept or unless you have the teacher, which karakas are applicable to which suffixes.
Okay.
And so I remember reading that and not understanding it other than just the base information that, oh, this can be used in the sense of the karana, the instrument, and the karta. But now reading this, it's actually, it's coming through a bit more. And obviously when we come to the karaka prakarana of the Harinama Mrti Vyakarana, and that'll be all the details, but this is really good for me.
Yeah, it's cool.
If you take that book and look at it next to this, you may get a lot. I'll send you the book.
Cool. All right, adhikarane. Formations made with crit suffixes using the sense of a location involved in an action are analyzed with a finite verb and the form of the pronoun idam exhibited in the locative case. Samcharanti asmin iti samcharaha margaha. People travel on this, thus a road, a street. Dhyate asyam iti dhani. Something is put in it. thus a receptacle. Likhite yeshu te lekhaha patrikaha. Those on which writing is done are writing sheets, leaves.
Yeah.
Notice that in the last example, the commentator has used the alternative approach described in the introduction to section 129.
The yeshu and te instead of using idam. That's what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, like ya and saha.
Yeah.
Got it.
It makes it more clear. For me, keeping that in mind also helps to understand some of the more abstract sounding idam formations when it's used. Particularly with the passive, it took me a bit to wrap my head around that. Like basically the thing that was difficult was the necessity to infer the something, like they're putting it in parentheses. Whenever you're using passive, like it's another example. Samohyate anena. Someone is bewildered by this, because that's implied with samohyate. There has to be someone who is basically an object of bewilderment.
Yeah, well, the subject of the passive verb, basically.
Yeah, it needs to be the subject of the passive verb.
Yeah.
For a long time, when I would read these formations and commentaries or stuff, it was just like, oh, what does that say?
I see.
Yeah. Yeah, there needs to be a subject of the passive verb, which is the actual
It's
object.
clear. Yeah, it's clear when it's ya pachati sa pachikaha.
Yeah.
The ya is explicitly stated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But okay, it's interesting. How much more is in this section that we're in? This, like the subsection?
Well, technically the subsection ended, the Karaka one.
Okay.
Yeah, and now we come to the next one, 130. Temporal
I
restriction.
get to stop here for me at least.
Yeah, it's 12:45. I also have a busy next couple days. I won't be able to join tomorrow, Prabhus, because Govardhan Puja, and I'm going to be cooking all day.
What is Govardhan Puja there?
Well,
we're celebrating it, and then it's actually the next day, but we'll celebrate it tomorrow.
Yeah, but
Well,
there's probably some devotees will go to Detroit Temple. At the big temple, they'll celebrate it on Friday, but then our smaller Sangha will do it on Thursday so as not to conflict with them.
Yeah.
It's Diwali tomorrow as well.
Yeah. So should we meet, Prime Sundabu, will you be busy on Friday for Govardhan Puja?
No, Friday will be okay with me because it's in the daytime, Govardhan Puja.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we can maybe plan to meet on Friday.
Sounds good.
Okay, Bruce.
Okay.
All right.